Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Here on the Sheenapreneur channel, I share information about government contracting, veteran business content, and other business tips. What's going on, everyone? It is Sheena, aka Sheenapreneur, your favorite veteran. I thank you all for being here with us on this Saturday night. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and that means that you want to learn about corporate contracting with an expert. Like when I say a true expert, I'm talking like every time I talk to Keel, I'm like mind blown because he is that guy. He is corporate contracting, right? So I want to just introduce Keel Russell, the CEO, founder of BizLia, and a whole bunch of other stuff because he be out here like changing the world for real behind the scenes. And he's just so coy about it and so shy about it behind the scenes. But we bringing him out today because he is that guy. So thank you so much, Keel, for being on here with us and sharing some of your time. I always say this to my guests because I feel like I get people before they get really big. So we might not get him ever again. So make sure y'all asking the right questions. Make sure that you get his information. Once this video is in the replay, we will have his information in the description. So again, thank you, Keel, for being on our show, talking about government contracting, talking about local contracting, talking about corporate contracting. So please tell us about yourself, your company, and a little bit about your military service. You were Army, right?
Yes, I was Army.
Well, okay, you good. I was about to turn it off.
Yeah, there's no other branch I would want to be a part of.
Period, right?
But my name is Keel Russell, founder and CEO of BizLia, and it's short for Business Liaison. This is a tech startup that we've been building for about 1.5 years now. And we believe that it's gonna revolutionize the procurement industry for small, diverse businesses, primarily minority-owned businesses and veteran-owned businesses in the corporate sector as well as the government sector. This is a spin-off of my marketing company. We actually came upon this idea from our marketing company, which is Orange Lab Media. And with Orange Lab Media, we work with 38 large corporations, and we have over I want to say 4 federal contracts, several local and state contracts, but probably over our 8-year period or life of our company, we've probably had about maybe 12 to 20 different contracts with Department of Justice, the Veterans Affairs, the Air Force, GSA, and these are most of these are multi-year contracts. But what we're really good at, we actually started off with doing a lot of work in the federal space, but then over time, we realized most of our revenue was coming from the government, the private sector, with the corporations. And today, like I said, we work with 38 large corporations. We have contracts with probably about 7 of them. Yeah,
that's super dope. And I'm just gonna go ahead and like shoot these people down virtually because they're talking about Go Navy. They're talking about there's only one Air Force. Bridget, we don't care. But look, so Keel, like that went over everybody's head. So he has his company, BizLia, right?
Yeah.
But he also has a whole other company where it has all these contracts running up and through it. Now, for those who don't know, obviously, since I'm just introducing Keel, I met his business partner at a veteran business event. It was a program, VIP.
VIP.
Right.
VIP. Yeah.
VIP Grow. That's what it was.
Right.
And then we just kind of like ended up back together, like talking, and meeting Keel, the CEO. And that's where I talk about like being connected to people when you least expect it, really. So, these events that I tell you all about is really important to go when it makes sense. That was a very intense program. Keel, you didn't go,
yeah,
but I know he told you.
No, I want to stop you. So actually,
yeah.
VIP, which is Veterans in Procurement, I actually attended VIP Start, which was back in 2017. And, I wanted to, at the time, we probably had like 4 or 5 federal contracts. And I wanted to kind of like dive into the world a little bit deeper into government contracting, to know the lingo, to know all the details. Everything I needed to know, you could learn it at VIP. And I went to that one, and you're supposed to go to VIP Grow the second year after or 2 years after, because they want you to take the information you learned and implement it, and then grow your business, and then come back for Grow. And then grow is the second phase, and then there's a third phase, which is like, I think it's like
It's advanced.
enterprise, yeah, advanced, yeah. And so this time around, when you met my business partner, I was like, hey man, I have two conferences I have to go to. I can't attend this program, but I got accepted into the second part. You need to go as my replacement. So it was a good experience, because again, he got to go and see, like, get digest all this information that they was shutting out, come and bring it back to the company and implement it. But it was great because you guys connected, and then we connected, and we were talking about like doing some government contracting work together and things like that. And that's how we all got connected. So yeah, it's a great
Yeah,
program.
you never know. I talked about VIP a few times on my channel. Got Stephanie in the house. Stephanie also did VIP Gross. I think Bridget is actually going this month soon. So for all the veterans who are looking to learn more about government contracting, like in person, VIP is a very, very great program to get into. And also it's a long waiting list. So if you sign up now, you might not get into 2025 for real. They only have 2 classes a year.
Intense.
It's intense. Start and grow is intense. We have 26 people on right now. Make sure you like, you comment, make sure you share this video if you feel like it's valuable to someone else. But we're going to talk about BizLia later, but I want to talk about your other company. And so tell me about, you said Orange, and forgive me, Orange
Lab Media.
Orange Lab Media. Tell us what that is.
So Orange Lab Media, we started off as a full service marketing agency back in 2015. But we really didn't start making revenue until 2016. But in that year, or in terms of what we do, we started off as a full service company, full service marketing agency, specializing in everything but mastering none. So over time,
wait. We gotta make sure. Listen, for all the people who are like, I want to do 15 different things. He's saying he tried it, ain't work. So we had to scale it back and get more niche. So that's really, really important. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, so we started off being full service, doing everything for everybody, and we were actually targeting small businesses only. And we realized that we come from a space of being small, diverse company ourselves, so we understand the challenges that go with being small. We don't have the budget that we need to do the things that we want to do. But that's kind of like who we were targeting. And what we realized from going through that entire experience is that a lot of small businesses wanted the world, but they didn't have the budget to do it. And
the beer budget, right? Champagne tasting, that beer budget.
Yep. And then they were like, hey, Keel, you guys really good at branding. You guys really do branding well. So I want a logo, and I want you to do my website, and I want you to do my shirts, and I want you to do my business card. And we're like, oh, can you do it for $500? I'm like, no. It was like, but we ran into these situations all the time, and we were like, we were getting frustrated, and we was like, well, it's like, damn, how we're never gonna grow if this is type of customers we're attracting. So we're like, okay, let's pivot, let's kind of like own in on a particular industry. And we did start to realize that most of our revenue was coming from one particular industry or one particular segment, which was branded merchandise. So everybody gives out, when you go to a conference, they give out promotional products, branded T-shirts, mugs, pens, and things like that. That's the majority of our revenue was coming from those type of things. So we was like, hey, why don't we just niche down into just really owning that category? We'll still do these other things if customers ask us for it, but we're just going to kind of like focus that on that particular segment of marketing. And within 3 years, our revenue skyrocketed in that particular category. So we're like, well, let's not be a full service marketing agency anymore. Let's just specialize in promotional products or branded merchandise. And something unique happened with that. When we went to conferences, a lot of like some of the companies that we saw at the conferences, we had tables at these conferences because we were trying to win more business. And a lot of the big corporations will come up to our tables like, hey, that's unique. I've never seen that. We work with vendors all the time, and we've never seen that particular product. The one
what
thing,
product was it? Like, what was the?
It'd be some random off the wall stuff.
Okay.
Like, because I come from the world of manufacturing and importing products from overseas in China, which I think I shared a little bit about that. I wrote a book about it. I knew how to manufacture products from scratch. So I will make something unique and then I will bring it to a trade show. And people are like, well, I've never seen any other company do that. Like, can you
Ah,
guys do that for my company? And that's how we kind of got into the corporate space. And then our name started getting passed around a little bit from one company to another company, and we started winning more deals from those other corporations.
nice.
But so that's kind of what we specialize in. And that's what we focus on. We've been focused on for the past probably 5 years.
So who was that first customer where you said, I noticed that most of our income is coming from that?
Our very first corporate client was probably TD Bank.
Look, wait a minute. Okay, look. So again, most of the audience, like if you are familiar with corporate contracting, go ahead and drop a 1. If you're not familiar with corporate contracting, drop a 2. Okay. The reason why this is so important is because when you're driving by all these franchises, all these businesses every day, you don't even know that you as a small business, even a solopreneur, can sell them a product or a service. Everyone that looked at my video with Brent Archie of Archie Supply, he told y'all he sold $3 million worth of pens. Okay, there's nothing new under the sun, even though you were bringing stuff new from China here, which is super dope. But at the end of the day, you're selling something that is in existence already. You didn't, go and do a design of a brand new thing. You were like, hey, I see they need this. I'm gonna throw their logo on it
Right.
and sell it to them. And you did that for a bank. That's dope. So nobody knows about corporate contracting. There's a whole bunch of tools. There's tools everywhere, right? So continue. I'm sorry, I got excited.
So with that, so TD Bank, we actually, if you ever gone into a TD Bank, and Chase does this as well, but TD Bank, typically you'll see umbrellas at the door of TD Bank, and these umbrellas are branded TD Bank colors and everything. So one year, that I think it was 2017 or probably earlier, we designed our own TD Bank version of their umbrella and sent it to them, and their corporate procurement person or who's in charge of that category called us back, and they were like, we want to give you guys a shot. Our previous vendor couldn't do this, whatever the case is, and we like your umbrella. Can you supply us? So TD Bank became our first customer. That was a great learning experience because we actually won a contract or opportunity, and then we lost it probably in the same year. So
it'd be like that, right? So okay, let's go back a little bit, right? With the umbrella that they said they want to give you a shot on. Is this something that you guys created for free and was like, y'all gonna like this? So was it something that you gave them for free?
So we were banking with them, and we saw that what they were, the umbrellas at the door, and we were like, hey, we can make umbrellas, and we know how to do that. And so we designed our own version of it, and we sent it to them, and they loved it. And then it was like, hey, they gave us a shot. It went well, but I think there's a matter of they were very particular about the color of their green, and our factories just couldn't get that right. So
wow, branding.
It just went out the door, and we knew what we were doing. It's just that just a slight difference in shade of green makes a whole difference. And, so we lost it the same year.
But look, let's go back to what you did though. You started with where you were. We banked with these people. Mm-hmm. We saw that, we can help them with this. And he went out on a limb and just tried it. And even if it worked for a short time, you still now it's like you've got armor. You're like, I can do this 1,000,000 times. Like I'm never afraid again, essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think something unique happened in that experience though. What it taught us was that when we saw the check and you realized that
you took a breath, you like, whoo, yes, go ahead.
When you saw the check, you realized that the same amount of time that it takes to service a small, diverse business is the same amount of time that it takes to service a large business. The same amount of time that it takes to pitch a small business, the same amount of time it takes to pitch a large business. And the check sizes are different. Again, I understand the challenges that a small business have because we were small and we are small. But we learned that why put all of our energy into this when we can grow faster and make more money from this other side. And so we kind of
Talk
like
your
pivoted.
shit.
So that's why we pivoted, and we started pivoting, just going after all large government and corporate contracts only.
Talk your shit. He said, "Look, I ain't got time," and that's real. Like, we're in business to make money. Period. No revenue, no business. It's a hobby at that point. So
Mhm.
if you want to service small businesses and that's your thing, for karma points or whatever, that's cool. But if you're trying to get to the big check, Keel says, stop wasting your time. Like, we need to go to who got the money. They got the money, right? So we
Yeah.
got one question. How did you decide what type of conference you should have a booth at? Great question.
Yeah, so that we already knew what kind of conferences that we needed to be at because of our target audience. I was just talking to a young lady yesterday, and she was asking the same question, and I was like, "Well, let's talk about that because that's interesting." Um, is your buyer at that conference? Is the people that you're going to see at that conference are they going to buy that service from you or that product from you? If you're not going to be there, it doesn't make sense to go there. Like for instance, if you're selling a food product, do you want to go to a conference about diversity,
Construction.
diversity or construction or anything? It might work. It might work in certain situations, but I want to be at a food and restaurant conference. I want to be at a franchise conference. I want to be things where that I know is going to benefit me. I want to be at a retail conference where Walmart and Target's going to be at because I could possibly get my food product into their stores. For me, we were going after corporations, so I want to be at all the conferences that corporations go to, like so
Right.
MSDC, WeBank, NGLCC. If you're LGBT owned company, go to
Wait, wait,
NGLCC.
we gotta slow it down. Slow it.
Okay,
Remember, nobody here
yeah. So like
really
the
knows corporate contracting. So what
so
what are those acronyms you
So
said?
NMSDC is the National Minority Supplier Diversity Coalition. I forgot this. I think what it stands for.
Council, I think it is. Yeah.
Council, yeah, council.
Mhm.
And they are a organized. We call them NGOs, or non-government organization
Mm.
um, that helps diverse businesses get certified as a diverse company, or women-owned business, or black-owned business, or veteran-owned business, and that you could then take that certification and leverage that to try to get in a door with these large corporations. Because each corporation, just like the government, each corporation has maybe a diversity goal or a spend goal on how much money they want to spend with a diverse businesses. So we get certified by those NGOs to say, hey, look at me. I'm a veteran-owned business. I'm a black-owned business. I'm a woman-owned business, and I would like to work with you, Mr. or Mrs. Coca-Cola or PepsiCo. Can we talk about our services and what we could help you and how we could help you guys as a large corporation? Even at our size, we could definitely provide value to you because of what the service that we provide. So we knock on their doors using that certification as a way to get in the door, but that's not what get you in the door. What gets you in the door is your quality of service, your customer service, your price point,
Right.
the value that they get from you. So that's what gets you in the door, and that's what can help you stay there. But going back to the question, you know, why by going to these conferences, I know the corporations they're going to be there because they support this large organization like NMSDC, or they support WeBank, women-owned businesses, or they support any kind of veteran conference like Veterans in Business (VIB), or
Yeah.
BOBA, or NBBDC. These are organizations that support veteran businesses. And then if you're a person with disability, you will want to be at Disability In,
Yeah.
which is an organization that support people with disabilities.
And
Um,
also disabled veterans.
and also disabled veterans. So I'm a disabled vet. So I go to Disability In, and
Mhm.
that organization, to be out of all the organizations that we've been a part of, that organization has been the most impactful in terms of
Same
helping
here.
us get in. We got in the door with at least 8 or 9 corporations because of Disability In.
Same here. Same here. I would just want to make sure that I endorse that too, because I tried some other ones just to see if they would help. Weren't exactly helpful. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
what you make it, but I think that they went the extra mile. So,
Yep.
someone also mentioned. So, First Live, thank you for joining us, son Daniel, and don't forget the super chat. Don't forget the super chat. If you feel like this is valuable, don't forget. We got 28 people on, so please share this video, this live. Make sure you comment, ask questions, because when Keel hits this $1 billion, I ain't never gonna see him again. So like, ask your questions now, okay? So Darian is asking, what is corporate contracting? So we kind of went around it. We kind of touched on it, but corporate contracting, if you want to explain it in like the layman's terms, because no everyone here is Brett, like explain it to a 10-year-old.
Right. So corporate contracting is when a corporation, a large Fortune 5,000 company, decides they would like a service, whether it's they need a service or a product. So they would then contract with a supplier that could supply that service. So give you an example, like let's say I am your local grocery store, but it's a large grocery store chain. They need a janitorial service provider that could then come in the nights and clean their grocery store while the store is closed. So they, in many cases, they will use either a large company. In some cases, they will use a local company that could service their grocery stores locally. So let's say if you're in the city of Atlanta and you have a local chain there, they've said, hey, you know what, we need a black-owned company or women-owned company to go into our grocery stores at night and clean it for us. Um, Another example of that is if I am, let's say, Delta Airlines, I need someone to do our uniforms and wash our uniforms for us. So we will contract with a company that could do dry cleaning, and that would be a contract for 5 to 10 years.
Ooh, wait a minute. Wait. 5 or 10 years. Now, if anybody knows about federal and or local, usually they cap at 5 years. That's usually going to be the most you can squeeze out of the government. But you're saying it's like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, so and this is the thing with like a lot of small businesses find themselves in this situation where because you want to win that contract, you don't know that you can negotiate that contract. Um,
Mm.
we with my business, Orange Line Media, we're very good at negotiating our terms in our contract. Now we have lost deals because they felt like we were being a little bit difficult with the negotiations. But that was probably a, that was probably the right thing, and it happens for a reason.
Of
That
course.
probably was a relationship that we didn't need to be in anyways, because we are a small, diverse business. So um, we do have requirements that can help us stay afloat and stay in business. And also, we want to grow. So if it's not going to benefit us, in the beginning we took a lot of contracts because we wanted that name to be on our resume. Oh, we work with XYZ, we work with that. But as we became more mature, we decided, hey, some contracts is not worth it. If it's not going to pay our bills, if it's not going to make us profit, we're not going to do it. Yeah.
No profit, no revenue, no business. So with that, like how does that look? Can you break down negotiation? So however you meet this Coca-Cola, for example,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, we would love for you to make some promo pens for us. And then, okay, now you're at the table, right? And
Mhm.
I understand that you're in a portal, or maybe not in the portal. It can be worked out different ways where they're like,
Mhm.
you need to sign up here through this and this and this, or you could be meeting them in person. So are you bringing your contract like, sign this or no work? Like, how does that work?
So it's a loaded question because there's so many ways a small business could get into the door with a corporation, as opposed to government. In the government sector, they have to do like a certain threshold. Anything over $50,000, they have to put it out for RFP, request for proposal. Anything under $50, they could go to a direct source, a sole source. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
can buy from you if they decide that they like your quote. In the private sector or commercial sector, you could talk to any department, and if they want to buy your service, they could say, "Hey, I want to put this on a credit card. I'll put this on my department card." If it's under 5,000, our policy says anything under 10,000, I can buy with my credit card, my corporate card. If
Nice.
it's over 10,000, they usually have to go through the procurement department within that corporation. And that procurement department either has to source a vendor that can supply that particular service or product, or they have to put it out for RFP, request for proposal, where there's a bidding process involved. Now, so
Similar to government.
yeah,
Similar to
similar to
local and
government, right?
federal.
But the way that a lot of, I think the easiest way to kind of get in the door or get a company on your resume is to take that credit card transaction. Is to take that
Ah,
to, hey, Chase comes to me and say, hey, we have a local event happening next week, and we're looking for someone that could do a photo booth, or someone that could do a, what do you call it, 360 photo booths for us, and that we're looking, our budget is $1,000. As a local business owner, you're like, here, I'm local, I could do that. I'm in the city of Fort Lauderdale, I could do the photo booth. It's $1,000. You send them an invoice, they agree to it, they pay you with the credit card. You can now say, hey, I do business with XYZ company, right?
they don't need to know the amount. You
They
still
don't
did
even know
business
the
with them.
amount, right? Exactly. But now you have them on your resume, but that's not a contract. That's just a transaction. What you want to do is you reach back out to that contact and say, hey, um, do you have any other events coming up in the next 6 months that, I travel, I'll bring my photo booth to Atlanta or Washington D.C. But now you say, hey, if they like, hey, here's our five events coming up in the next 6 months, you will then ask that person to say, hey, instead of doing a credit card, can you issue a purchase order? When they
Purchase.
issue a purchase
PO, y'all.
a
PO.
PO, when they issue the purchase order, now they have to onboard you in their procurement system as a vendor. That gets your name in their system, and that's where you want to be. That's the first step, because if a transaction, remember, a credit card transaction, you're just paying a transaction. That's it. No,
And do you
no,
have to wait 30 days for that?
no, that's
They pay
immediate,
right away.
right
It's like a
away.
micro purchase, right? It's
Right,
like you're doing business with anyone.
right, right. That's just you just go to you go to Macy's and you swipe your card. That's the transaction.
Yes.
No one knows about that. That's just going to be on the line item on one of their balance sheet. Um,
Yes.
but with them creating a purchase order, your name is in their system as a vendor. So
Nice.
now anybody within the company, if they're looking for someone, they'll be able to, hey, who did we use for the photo booths? Is there anyone in our system that does that? Your name will be one of many companies, or maybe the only one that shows up in their system that they'll call on to say, hey, XYZ, Sheena, can you do that photo booth for us? We have an event in LA. We need someone out there. Can you do it? Can you fly out there? I'll be like, I'm not in LA, but I'll send my,
I'll be in LA.
I'll be there, because I know that's going to lead up to a contract. Because now you're using me for multiple events now. Hey, Darren, do you think you guys could issue a contract for this? Oh, I don't do that, but let me find out who could do it internally.
Woo!
Who's in charge of that category?
Wait, wait. Listen, y'all. Like, I'm learning right now because this is so key. This is even essentially easier than government contracting in a lot of ways. And from my experience, corporate contracting, they really do business with you if they like you. The government, it's a hit or miss. And also, they have many other regulations they have to abide by. So that's a gift and a curse. But on the corporate side, they're like, we need to talk, we need to look you face to face. Okay, we like you. We're going to keep you for however long. So just hold that thought, because I got a question for you, Keel. Look, he's dropping some serious gems like super chat. And speaking of that, we got Britannia, who is in the building, always supporting, always supporting. Thank you so much for this. I appreciate you sharing the love, because we be out here trying to make y'all millionaires. So you can drop a super chat, okay? So let me just go through a couple of these comments, Keel, because I got a serious question for you.
Okay.
So I appreciate you saying, is it Sundanu, for saying that the videos are helpful. And you kind of touched on that, Keel. Is it Ecstatic Lovejoy? Is it the same as government contracting? It's kind of like maybe a little bit, kind of, sort of.
In a lot of ways, it's similar to government contracting. But there's a lot of managing of people in the corporate space. Like, you have to manage personalities, expectations, and things like that. In government contract, you're really just dealing with the contracting officer or your, the stakeholder end user. But in the government, in the private sector, you're working with multiple departments, you're working with multiple teams, multiple people. So you're just managing relationships. And just like the government side, you're managing relationships.
Yeah, but like you said, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to be partial to like military, because a lot of times people that work in the government space are usually like veterans and that type of thing. So the structures is a little bit different. I've actually talked to some corporate companies where it was a family-owned company, large company, family-owned. They were strict, like the uncle, the cousin, like they were talking to me on the screen like, what do you do about this? And I'm like, dang, I felt like they were ganging up against me. So it's a little different than the government. Like, look, I need to get this out of my mind so I can go
Right.
drink for the holidays. So it's a
Right.
little bit different with that. And we got 31 people on. Thank you guys for staying with us. Make sure that you like this video and share it with someone that you feel can find value. So hold on, Keel, because I want to get through these questions because I got my question. Okay.
All right.
So Prunette Bennett asks, how would a full service moving and storage company be able to take advantage of corporate contracting? You want to weigh in on that?
Yeah. So all major companies, majority of, I would say 90% of major companies contract out their freight companies, their storage warehouses. They have to move products too. So like a lot of pharmaceutical companies, they'll contract with a company that has refrigerated warehouses, or because they're storing medical um, vaccines and drugs and things like that in temperature control environments. They would contract with a freight company that has what do you call them? The 18 wheelers with AC in them, whatever the case is, temperature control 18 wheelers. For storage, a lot of companies will have their warehouse that store all of their old files. If they don't own the warehouse themselves, a lot of times they may have their own warehouses. A lot of times they do contract out to companies that have storage facilities. So it's the way I would say that I would tackle that is, and this is kind of what we're going to go into with the software, is that you have to be knocking on doors to understand whether or not that company does it or not. And the only way you find that out is if you actually talk to someone in procurement or someone in supplier diversity or a buyer at the company. Yeah, so there is something you have to do. But I give you an example, like, well, that would be a bad example. Um, but like first, full service moving company. Oh, I'll give you an example. Okay, so a lot of big companies, when they actually build their own buildings, they're gonna hire a company that could do the furniture. They're gonna hire an interior designer, a decorator. They're gonna hire a moving company because a lot of people have to move to the new building. They have to move the desk, they have the equipment. They'll move to the new building. Some people have to relocate, so they'll have a moving company relocate the person's home, like all of their personal belongings, to another state. If you may recall, like Disney was moving their headquarters from California to Florida, and then that whole issue happened with them fighting with the governor of Florida, and Disney decided to pull out. But they was going to move 5,000 people from California to Florida. So that would have been a great contract to have with Disney. Say, hey, I'll truck your people back and I'll truck all their personal belongings and their homes from California to Florida, and it's going to take me. I would need 10 trucks. You probably need a lot more than that, but I have 10 trucks, and that means if you give us an advance, maybe I could rent 20 more trucks.
Right.
To do as many as possible, but they'll probably contract with multiple suppliers just because there's so many people. But or they'll give their employee a stipend to be able to move on their own. So,
and I would assume that they have probably some referrals, just like in the military, where even if they give the employee a stipend, they're like, well, here's our 5 preferred companies, and more than likely you're going to go with them. So I hope that answered your question, Prunette. And I'm going to throw my girl up here again. Thank you. Appreciate that. So our next question is, How do they decide if they will source it or create an RFP?
That's great. Great. That's an excellent question.
Mm,
Um, in a corporation, there's several ways they could go about that. One, if it's a certain dollar amount, like the government space, they would want to do a formal RFP process. Like, so if it's $1 million contract, for instance, they would want to do a formal contract. So what they would do is look in their portal, their vendor portal, for companies that could do that particular service. They would then invite them onto a discovery call where they're disclosing the details of that RFP, and they're going to see who's going to participate in the RFP process. Then they would invite you. It might be a 3-month RFP process, or it might be 30 days. Or they probably would say, hey, since we've worked with Keel before, why don't we just give it to them? We haven't had any issues with them. They're just
mm,
give it to you if they. But some companies do have policies where they need 3 or more vendors to participate. They can't just give it to one because of the dollar amount. In that case, they would reach in. They would reach out to some of those organizations, like we talked, those NGOs that we talked about earlier, NMSDC, WeBank, NGLCC. Do you have any vendors that could do this particular service? We're doing an RFP, and we're looking for a diverse company to help us do that. Or they're just opening it up to the public for anybody to bid on it. And the only way you would know about it is if you're registered in their portal as a vendor or a potential vendor. Um,
got you.
but if you already have an with the company already, it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time and say, hey, remember that? Remember my service? Like, yeah, we could do that project. We do business with these other companies already. Okay, well, what's your price? Give us an estimate or a proposal, and then we'll do a proposal. And they were like, okay, you got a job. So
So that's a great segue to what my question was when you were explaining like how you kind of even get the micro purchase, if you will, with a $1,000 transaction. How are you finding them? Are you walking into Wells Fargo and you're like, where does the manager at? I need to talk to him or her right now. Or are you going through the portals? I know you're going through the portal probably with Ariba. For
mhm.
those who don't know, that's a corporate portal that some agencies use. And I know you're going through the certification, the liaisons for the certifications. So besides, I guess literally beating down the door, but like, hey, I can do this janitorial work. How are you finding where the opportunities are and who to talk to specifically?
Right. So if your target is to get into corporate America, get into those corporations, you have to be knocking on the doors, unfortunately. But it's just like the government contract. You have to be searching these databases for potential RFPs, right? The same way so in this case, you probably have to be registered in their vendor portal as a
How
potential
do I
vendor.
find their vendor portal?
So
Where do they come
a
from?
simple Google search will help you with that. So if I want to do business with Coca-Cola, I would do Coca-Cola corporate vendor portal,
Nice.
or go on their website and go to there's usually a portion of their website that talks about procurement or vendors. So any of those keywords, vendor portal, procurement, and even supplier diversity. So because if you're a minority owned business, you could go to a department. A lot of companies have this department called supplier diversity, and it's
Yes.
to help find diverse suppliers. So I would reach out to them and say, hey, I'm a janitorial service company and I'm a diverse company. I would love to see if there's any opportunity pertains to janitorial services. I could help you with your local facility that you have here in Texas or in Dallas, Texas. I'm not big enough to do the entire nation, but I'm small, but I'm
Mm.
big enough to handle this one facility here. Is there any opportunity with that? And you're like, well, we don't see nothing in our pipeline for the next 20, 24 months or 30 months, or 36 months, but let me reach out to someone from that team, from let's say facility maintenance or facility management, and ask them if that's something that they really do. Or they'll tell you because they already know this information. They're like, hey, yeah, typically we contract with this large company that handles all of our facilities nationwide, so that's not going to work for us. Um,
Mm.
but but that doesn't mean that you're completely out of the runnings. A lot of times those companies, those big companies, they're so big, they treat that corporation as a number because they're making millions of dollars, not just from that one company, but from other companies. So
Mm.
they may not get the quality of service that a small business would dedicate to them. So like if I'm a local janitorial service provider in Dallas, Texas, there's going to be a time they're going to be like, hey, Sheena, we have a spill at XYZ facility and our guys can't get to it right away. Can you run over there and do it for us and just send us an invoice? And then you're going to be like,
I like that. Look, that's my favorite language. What we talking about?
Time to go, and I will go do that job. Now I'm in the door. Like, so now that I just saved the day, it's easy for me to get in the door. Like anytime they need someone to save the day, they're gonna think about Sheena and they're gonna call me up. And then that's one way to build my capacity, because they're gonna look. You're not big enough to take over the entire account, but you can start building your capacity. One little job here, one little job here. They're realizing you're doing great. They're gonna give you a bigger job. Hey, we have this new facility. It's not under the existing contract. Because you've been such a great partner to us, we want to give you this facility as a contract. You're going to manage this one facility for us. It's not going to be under our main contract. So that's kind of you get in the door.
Okay, so if that went over anybody's head, because I'm familiar with this, so it all makes sense to me, right? So what he's saying is, yes, you got to call people, you have to email people, you have to go in person and just ask the simplest question. Who is doing this? How do I do this? Google whoever the supply diversity is, person is, email them, call them. Sometimes they're not going to respond back for months and months and months. This is where your follow-up game got to be on point, okay? Because really, until recently, supply diversity was not a sexy thing that no one really cared about. And I think it's almost fading away a little bit at this point.
Yeah, I would say that it is, God bless his soul, but with the happened with George Floyd, really propelled corporations to like put their money where their mouth is and say, hey, we're going to spend more money with minority-owned businesses. And I give you one example. And then some of these companies are really intentional. So we had one company, I'm not going to say their names, but it's public information, so I can't say their name. So Eli Lilly, when George Floyd happened, the CEO of Eli Lilly went on, I think it was a money channel, it was one of those stock market channels. And they was talking about the whole thing and like what they were doing, Eli Lilly was doing. And he said, like our company is really committed to, spending money with Black minority-owned businesses. To date, we spend about $250 million with Black-owned businesses, but we're making a commitment that we're going to spend X amount of dollars. I think it was like $1 billion with Black-owned business over the next couple of years. They literally had to change all of their processes to do that, and they end up surpassing his goal. Not only that, they made a commitment to paying minority-owned firms that makes less than $2 million a year with them, to paying them in 10 days. So,
game changer. Game freaking changer. Who is this company again? Eli Lilly.
Eli Lilly. Well, they're Lilly now, which is a large pharmaceutical company. They're in the top 10 of our pharmaceutical companies.
Lilly?
No, Lilly, yeah.
Lly. Okay. So, hold on. Let me just pause real quick. So shout out to my baby girl, Naya. That's my baby. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate you supporting as always. So with that, what he's saying, y'all, like really, really hone into the every word, because your gems are just, they're gemming so much that I don't think people are really, really grasping exactly what you're saying. So and I was told this specifically by supply diversity directors, that literally because of George Floyd. That's why they were the director for years and no one ever cared. No one asked, are we meeting our goals? But he's saying that there are some companies, they might say we want to do business with minority, woman, veteran companies, and don't do it. And he's saying that there are some who are like, oh, we're going to do this. And it really comes from the top, because if they're not going to push it and just say it, it's up to us to call them out. And I'll give you my example. I think I shared this with you before, is the CEO of T-Mobile. So the CEO of T-Mobile joined Disability In that we talked about before and said, oh, we're a part of Disability In. We're going to give all these opportunities to all these companies, diverse companies, including veteran-owned companies. So I was reaching out to T-Mobile by myself. I was reaching out to T-Mobile through disability, and nothing. I reached out to the CEO of T-Mobile through LinkedIn after I saw him do that little post, and I was like, first of all, no, y'all not. I haven't gotten a response, blah, blah, in a tactful way, of course. But basically saying you're not putting your money where your mouth is. So someone needs to fix that. I got an email within 10 minutes from like 5 different executives at the company. It's up to us to ensure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. We are the customers, one way or another. I'm a T-Mobile customer. I've been for like 15 years. So you're not gonna ignore me. I may not get the contract, because of one reason or another, but you're not gonna ignore me. So it's up to us to make sure that we are following the money. He followed the money. He saw that the CEO of Lilly was like, this is what we're trying to do. So he's like, well, shoot, let me navigate over here and see what they're talking about.
And it took us 2 years to get into Lilly, but it was like knocking on the, hey, Shirley, hey, this, hey, that.
And, were you bringing donuts?
Yeah, just knocking on the door, being friendly, being present, being, when people think about you, when they think about a service that you do, your name is always coming up. They think about like, hey, what about that company? So, it's funny is we were talking about it, like, going back to the whole strategy. We won our first opportunity with Lilly this past year. And it was a small opportunity, less than $5,000 in revenue, but that relationship is now in the building mode. Now we're building the relationship, but that's just another company that's added to our resume.
Right.
That's just all from, knocking on the door, staying consistent.
And sometimes, people say, I don't want to get a contract that's small or, whatever. Like corporate contracting, it's almost like it's challenging to get a large contract out the gate compared to government, because sometimes you just might get the luck of the draw and get a large contract. But corporate, there's a whole lot of massaging that takes place and a whole lot of trust that's associated with it. They are completely risk adverse, and a lot of those people have been in that company for 20, 30, 40 years. They're legacy business compared to the COs that are in and out. They retire, they don't stay in the same place, they don't even target the same agencies. Sometimes they're not completely committed, where a lot of these people are completely committed. So
that's interesting that you say that, because that brings up a good point. In the corporate world, like you said, these people are in that position for 10, 20 years. So a lot of times they do have their favorite vendor that they like to go to, right? But your job is to sit in the line, waiting line to say, hey, I'm next in line. I'm just waiting for that company to F up, because when they F up, I'm next in line.
Like Tom Brady, right? That's what happened with Tom Brady. Right. He was waiting for that moment, and the GOAT ever since, right?
And when they realize, yo, like, your customer service is great compared to what we were doing with our last vendor, then you become the newfound love, So, yes. And then they just start sending you projects like left and right, and then you start growing.
And that's how it works. And you touched on something a little earlier, that you may not get the whole region. One thing that usually will happen is, if you do get your foot in the door with a corporation, they may ask you, hey, can you do all of the United States and Canada? And you're like, whoa, don't say yes, because you can't. If you're a small business, you can't do it, period. Right. Like, stop, unless you're maybe doing like a couple of products or something small. You can't do it. So just tell them, no, I can focus on the Southeast. I can focus on the Northeast. I can focus on this state only this county, only this area within the county. You know what I mean? Like, be transparent. They rather have that. And if they love you, they love you. And then, of course, as your revenue grows and your team grows, then you'll be able to take on those projects. So right. Bridget says she would love to work with Eli Lilly. So would I, because are they still doing that promo?
so Eli, well, a lot of companies, I'm not just going to say Eli.
Yeah.
A lot of companies do have what they call it, a supplier day. So sometimes the supplier day is in person, and sometimes it is on Zoom.
Supplier day, yeah. Like an industry day.
An industry day, like an industry day. And when you have that opportunity, a lot of these supplier days, they allow you to do one-on-one matchmakers.
Yeah.
So like if you register for their event, you will want, just like in the federal space, you will want your capability statement ready to go, locked and loaded. And then when you meet with the buyer, you're gonna meet with the category buyer for your service. When you do the matchmaker, you're gonna select, hey, I want to talk to the marketing team, or I want to talk to the janitorial team, or I want to talk to the IT team. And when you sit there for that 15 minutes, because you only get 15, 20 minutes to pitch, they're gonna say, hey, I like you. Send me your email. Here's my email contact. Send me your deck. We schedule a call for a future date where we could talk more in depth. You want to either go to that industry day. I travel, so if Lily's having a industry day, I'm going to Indianapolis. If T-Mobile is having an industry, I'm going to Seattle. And
You gotta
because
charm them in person. You gotta charm them in person.
I
Sometimes they need
want to
that
show
energy.
off. I want them to see the best version of me. Like, hey, I'm a veteran. Even if you didn't serve in the military, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go up in my suit and my tie. I'm gonna have my capability statement. I'm gonna have my laptop. When I talk to that person, I'm gonna tell them everything about my service, the one service, or maybe a couple service, but not everything. Don't tell them that you do janitorial service, but you also do storage, that you also do promo. No, you do one service, and this is the
Yeah.
one capability statement that you have to showcase to them. And then now you know that person is John. John is my category manager. So I'm gonna reach out to John every 3 months, every 2 months to say, John, do you have anything coming down the pipeline I can help you with? That's how. And when John is gonna be like, I like this guy, and let me give him a shot. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and again, start. You might be able to start small, and they're gonna try to stay as risk adverse as possible. So just because they don't respond to you doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. And I know that my audience is so fearful of rejection, which we all are. We're human, right? Fear of rejection and follow up game is whack. So you got to make sure that you're following up. You're not the only person in the world that they know. You have to stand out. Just like if anyone was coming to you, if you're already been in business and someone's coming to you and they only reach out once, and you might be in a period of time where you can't really respond to them, and they come back, you're like, oh shoot, this person is persistent. Okay, and you leading with value. I know Keel is leading with value. He knows how to do that. He's done pitch competitions and won money and all that. I told y'all I might not be able to get him when he gets his billions of dollars, but he's been out here and pitched himself so much. It's nothing for him, and that practice, you have to have that practice of telling people who you are, what you do, and all those things. So again, I want to interlude. Got 33 people on. Y'all are staying with us. I really appreciate it. Make sure you like this video and share it with someone who you think might benefit from this talk, because corporate contracting is something that's not typically spoken about. And make sure you ask questions, because this is what we're here for. You know what I'm saying? So we got another question. What are the top things that corporate buy?
Just like government, corporations buy everything under the sun too. So IT equipment, they buy furniture, they buy services. They may have outsourced their accounting services. They may outsource their marketing services if they don't have their internal department. And even if they do have their internal department, they typically subcontract with companies that specialize in a particular subject. So if you're really good at, let's say, ads, digital ads, they might reach out and be like, hey, we're looking for a company that could do digital ads for culture-based or diverse culturals, and we're good at this, but we don't know the Hispanic culture, or we don't know the Black culture. So we're looking for a company that can help us with that. They may reach out and say, hey, we're looking for a company that does flooring, because we're building this new building. We hired this contractor, but we're looking for a diverse company to partner with them and do this flooring for us and put down new carpet. Or it could be anything. It really is. It's every and anything. But the one thing is, it's procurement. Just like I'll say, unlike government, where they have a list of everything that they're going to buy for the next year, procurement may not know all of these things in procurement.
You're
So
reading my mind, Keel.
so that's why you have to kind of like, your buyer. If you're in janitorial services, you want to reach out to procurement, but you also want to reach out to the manager or associate that's in the facility maintenance department, because they would know what's good they're gonna buy in the next couple months or not. If you're in, let's say, digital services, you want to reach out to the IT team or the marketing team and say, hey, what do you guys buy this type of stuff? And they're like, oh, well, we do buy that kind of stuff, but we have a contract that's 5 years, that's locked in for 3 years. So we can't deviate away from it, but we could add you to our list. And FYI, the RFP is going to come back out March, let's say January 2026. So add it to your calendar. And then even though the RFP is coming back out in 2026, I don't want that to be the first time they hear from me, because they're not going to know who I am. So in between that time, I have 2 years. I'm going to be knocking on their door. Hey, Sarah, I know you said the contract is coming out, this blah, 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 but do you have any small projects that you could use help with? And then I'm building a relationship. Sarah's going to be like, one day Sarah's going to say, hey, Keel, I like you. Stop emailing me.
Well, I'm tired of you, right?
Or
I'm tired of bothering me.
Or they're going to say, hey, Keel, we do have this project coming up, and I'm going to talk to my boss to see if we could do this like outside of a contract. And then you might be that person to give that little project to, and that's your way. So by the time the RFP comes out, you've already been building a relationship with that whole department. So when you go up to do your pitch, whether it's a Zoom pitch or if you can make it past the proposal phase and you do your pitch, their whole team is going to be like, hey, Keel, how you doing? Like, it's good seeing you again. And it just makes it easier for them to give you a high score, unless you did a shitty job, and excuse my French.
Then then you don't need it anyway. And that's, again, y'all, he's dropping some really detailed information about what you do behind the scenes when you're about to get the contract, when you essentially get past the proposal part. That stuff is what no one really talks about. So don't forget the super chat, okay? Don't forget the super chat. And also, when you mentioned 2026, how do we know that company that was awarded originally is still doing well? So they might have effed up, and you just slide it in like, hey, we're still here. You might reach out after 9 months and say, hey, how are the services going? We're still here in case you need some extra help. And I'll even share one of my examples. Of course, I have a janitorial arm within my company. So we went to do a site visit for Cargill. And Cargill is up in Pennsylvania. They actually had a chocolate factory in Hershey, Pennsylvania. That was kind of cool. But they were doing all their cleaning internally until COVID. So it was like, okay, now look, we can't do this on our own. And I'll tell you, it was not that clean, just saying. But some of the facilities weren't. But, something might change to where they were doing this internally. Now they're going to bring it out to be external or contracted out, just like Keel said. And you're already there. They may not have that out at any point. And they might say, instead of us trying to order through this catalog pens, let's just contract it out and not have to worry about it. You know what I mean? So just being in the room is what makes this really, really important. And again, if you're thinking about 2026, you're like, man, that's forever from now. That time will come up faster than you think, especially in this contracting world. As your contracts are going through and you're performing them, you'll be like, oh, shoot, it's already 2026. I need to, again, like you said, put in your calendar. I need to follow up with some of these,
Something I would say about that too. I'm glad you said that, because even though it's 2026, and I just threw that random number out there, but like, let's say it's 2026. Let's you stay on that. A lot of companies start this process a whole year in advance. So by the end of this year, 2024, by the end of this year, maybe January 2025, they are starting the RFP process. And so by let's say 5 or 6 months in, they want to award it to the next vendor, or reissue it to the incumbent. But they're gonna, in 6 months, they want to have this ready to go and say, hey, we selected Orange Lab Media to do this contract. We want to make sure that they're onboarded, all their paperwork. We want to do the risk assessment on them. We want to make sure that they can financially meet the requirements. So by the time that contract ends, there's a transitional period from the incumbent to the new company. So it does, so just because it's like a couple of years out, I won't be worried too much about that because that time might go fast. And again, you also want to be on the radar so that if the company does mess up, these companies will cut that contract. They have clauses in these contracts to break that relationship and issue it to someone else. If that company's not doing a good job, they're not gonna wait until the contract ends. They're gonna cut that relationship and go to the next suitable vendor, capable and suitable vendor.
And you've been harassing them every 2 weeks. Don't do 2 weeks, but
Don't
every
do it.
month for the last 2 years. So they're going to be like, okay, we finally got something for you. I'm telling you, it works. Gentle harassment in a tactful, ethical way. And just letting people know the same way you would do anything else, and probably the same way that you've been. I know everybody's had someone come to their house and say, hey, it looks like you need a new roof. And I actually, after the 1700th time, I was like, okay, come on, let me hear what you got to say. You know what I mean? Right. It's those touch points. Sometimes it takes 7 touch points in order for you to really listen. It's the same thing for every other human. So just stay on it. And you might have a contract today, and then you're constantly trying to reach out to, there's so many corporations, places you never even heard of, and they're multi-billion-dollar companies. And they're like, we need you to do this. You're like, I never even heard of this company. And that's one of the good things about using some of these certifying agencies, Disability and Navoba and all those companies, because they'll tell you, sometimes they'll send out an email blast stating that they need this thing and you got to jump on it. You know what I mean? So those are really helpful. And remember, the certifications on the corporate side, you have to pay for. So be choosy about which ones you choose. Okay. For the federal and local, you don't have to pay. For corporate certifications, you have to pay. So we're at 34 people. Y'all sticking with us. I love this. Don't forget the super chat. And if you feel like this video is valuable, please share it. Please leave a comment. So we got a question. Boop. From Darian. Is it Lanigan? How do you get to the space to have these conversations with the corporations? Also, how did you start, and what was the first thing you did when you got started, and where you are now? So he's answered everything except for where you are now. So we're going to talk about BizLia later, but where you are now, who are your clients? How much, if you can, how much each contract was for? You talked about some of them started off small, they got bigger. So kind of touch on that, where you are now.
Right. So we started off in small business. We kind of migrated, we were a little bit agile, and we shifted focus into large corporations and government contracts. We started off winning like a couple small transactions, as I call them, again.
Micro purchase on the federal side.
Those led into actual real relationships that then turned into contracts. But give you one example, like it's been 4 years now, 5 years. 5 years ago, we started working with Bristol Myers Squibb, and they're a large pharmaceutical company. My first year, we did $5,000 with them. Year 2, we did 10,000.
Okay.
And then we jumped up to like 800,000. And
wait a minute. Talk your shit. Wait a minute. Wait. What was the difference between year 1, year 2, which is almost 1,000 a month, and you had other contracts, to almost $1 million with this one client?
With this one company, yeah. So it was a blessing. COVID was a double-edged sword, because it was like it hurt a lot of companies, but it also helped a lot of companies. Yeah. And in prior to COVID, they did an RFP because they were looking for a company to run their entire nationwide program for promo, my services, right? So they invited, we did the RFP process, and they decided to invite 8 companies up to their headquarters in New Jersey to pitch in person.
So this is before you were registered as a vendor. Well, you were already with them.
I was already a vendor as doing 5, 10, but then they were like, hey, you guys are a vendor in our system. We want to invite you guys up to do a formal pitch of your capabilities to our committee. We went, and again, my business partner and I, we went up and we did our pitch. We had a time slotted. for an hour, and we did our pitch. And while we're doing our pitch, there's other companies in the lobby waiting to do their pitch. So we were like probably the smallest company there. We did our pitch. Maybe a couple of weeks later, they did a follow up and said, hey, you guys didn't win, but you guys came second place. Also, out of 8 companies, we were second place. But they went. They were already working with this company for almost 15, 16 years, so they kind of like stuck with what they liked and what they know. So that company won that contract, and that contract was like they probably spend about $5 to $6 million in that category annually. On promo, yeah. And awesome. So we came second place. So we were like, yeah, no, we're not gonna get that 5-10 grand that we were getting because that company has the entire pot, right? But that's not what happened. Something unique happened in our pitch. We told them that, we do international shipping. We ship products all over the world because of our global capabilities. We also manufacture like things in China and Vietnam and Mexico and things like that. From a history standpoint, yeah, we're small, but we are resourceful. So because of that, they were like, we were really impressed with your global capabilities. So we want to give you guys the entire global market, but not the US market, but you guys could do everything else outside of the US.
That's a win to me.
You guys would be our go-to because no one else in the pitched that as a service.
Wow.
So we pitched that and say, hey, even if you don't, but one of the things that we did say in that pitch is that if we're not selected as your prime contractor for this service, think of us as an added value service provider. Like you could come to us and say, hey, Keel, our current vendor can't do this. Can you help us with that? And in many cases, we'll be able to help you with it. So if you want us to ship something to Africa, something to Europe, we could do that. So they remember that. And that's why they kind of like ranked us in second place. And
you basically were in first place because the other company, they already knew they were going to keep them. So
yeah.
You basically were in first place.
So in COVID, when everybody started working from home, something amazing happened. They were like, hey, we can't ship this to our office, these goods and awards and gifts and things to our offices anymore. Everybody's working from home. We remember you guys could ship globally. So can you guys help us with this project? And they did a rebrand of their logo in 2020. And they were like, hey, we want to give all of our employees a shirt for this with our new logo on it. So they were like, can you ship these 18,000 shirts to 16,000 employees worldwide? And they were like, but the problem is we only have 45 days to do it. So can you do it? And we're like,
yes.
No, I actually first were like, normally we need 60 days or 70 days. I don't know. But we were like, all right, we can get it done. We'll make it happen. And we did it, and we did it in 45 days. We shipped it 18,000 shirts to 16,000 employees in over 55 countries.
Wow.
We ran into some issues in Italy. Let's say, something unique happened in Argentina. We were shipping shirts to Argentina. The shirt really cost like $15, and Argentina was trying to charge us $100 to import each shirt. So we were each because it's going to different addresses. They were like, so we're calling all of the employees, decline the shipment, and then we had a local company in Argentina produce the same shirts and deliver it locally. So that was one unique situation. But because we did that project within 45 days, now our name got around the company that this company could do international shipments. So every other department was like, hey, I want to give my employees, I have employees in Japan, Europe. I want my department, we're all over the world. Like we have over 500 people in our department. Can you guys ship these corporate gifts to all of my employees? That happened. And it just was a trickle effect. And then we kind of skyrocketed up.
Yo, that is amazing. And I love the agility because look, that's kind of like in War Dogs, right? Where they reach this roadblock and they're like, oh my God, don't panic. How can we fix this? And you were small but mighty, you figured it out, just like you would have to figure out a detour on the road. It's not like it's the only way I know to go, so I'm just gonna sit here. You figure it out and go another way. So kudos to you. That is amazing. And you didn't even see it coming.
No,
But you
and
are ready. Like if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. You know what I mean? You just
exactly.
made yourself ready.
Exactly, and like you mentioned, War Dogs. You know, you see how they got on a plane and they said it was going to deliver these Berettas directly in Iraq, I think, and
Yeah,
they did it because they wanted to win more contracts. So
right.
similar to that, we were like, hey, if we have to, I'll get on a plane with a box of shirts, and I'll fly down there to Argentina to deliver them.
And
Um,
period.
just to get that project done because I know at the end of the day that client is going to love me for it, and then they're going to know I went above and beyond for them. Um,
Right.
Same thing we did for we had a contract with DOJ, and we did. My business partner went to China for I want to say 30 days and stayed there while they were making the goods that we're doing for DOJ, and no
Woo.
one else does that, but we did it because I went to for the my project we did with the Hard Rock. I went to Bangladesh and I stayed there for a week while to watch to make sure that their jackets are being made correctly. Um, and
That's
so
important.
so going back to the whole question that the guy said, in terms of where we are, we have contracts with about 7 or 8 large corporations. We work with about 38 in total. We've done business with, and
Name
again,
them. Wait, can you name drop? Let's name drop so people know it can like really settle with them that you're doing business with these corporations. Okay, doing promo stuff, doing products.
yep, doing custom made products from scratch, doing promo. So in the pharmaceutical space, we're really making a big name for ourselves in pharma, life science, and biotech. So we
Mm.
work with Bristol Myers Squibb, Amgen, Biogen, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Boston Scientific, Alnylam. Just those are pharmaceutical and life science companies. In automotive, we've done business with Toyota, GM, Harley Davidson. In banking, we've done business with TD Bank, Chase Bank, State Street, one of the largest financial firms in America. So if you know BlackRock, Vanguard, and then there's State Street in terms of the 3 companies that manages the most assets in the U.S. or probably in the world. But we work with
Ooh,
State
talk
Street.
your shit. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. And you're doing business with them.
Yeah, and
So
we have contracts with well, I can't I'm not sure if be able to say that, but
I got you.
of the companies that we work with, we have contracts with about 8 of them, and that's just a little bit of them. So that's in so we did banking, and then there is hospitality. So um,
Wyndham.
Wyndham Resorts in hospitality. We've done a little bit. We've done 1 or 2 projects with Disney, but that's it. Yeah. There's another Royal Caribbean.
Wait
And
a minute. Can you get us a cruise? So what can we get a cruise? Like do they give discounts when you when you do
so
business
they
with them?
don't give discounts, but they do actually do like something unique. And I think it's probably unique to them. So like as a vendor, they do when they have their inauguration ships, like their ships when they for the first time the ship is built and they're gonna sail for the first time. They do a tour of their ships, and you get to stay on for the entire day before just to tour the ship. So that's pretty cool.
That is
Um,
cool. What?
we've done Starbucks. We work with Starbucks. So if we don't have the entire contract with Starbucks, but if you know the aprons that they wear in the Starbucks store, though there's a
Yes.
company that does all of their aprons, but they gave us a special project where they wanted ASL on they have the American Sign Language symbols on the apparel, I mean the aprons, and they reached out to us and we did those.
How did
For
wait? How did they find you? How did they know you? Were you already registered with them?
I want to say Disability In introduced us to them,
That's
and
so
they were
dope.
looking for a company that can support them with promo for that particular project, but they wanted to use a company that was disabled owned or better known. So we got in the door because we did promo, and I'm a disabled vet. So I come from the world of disability. So they gave us that project, and we did that project for about 2 or 3 years before our stakeholder left I think she left the company.
Ah,
Um, so that's how that relationship kind of like dwindled out because she left the company.
can you
Uh,
tell us how much that is, and then can you
that was
maybe share profit?
That wasn't a big project
It's
because
okay. Look, it's Starbucks. Like
yeah,
I ain't worked with Starbucks. I spent
yeah,
too much money with Starbucks, but they haven't given me no money back.
yeah. So we were probably doing like 2 aprons per store, and not every store had one. They was really giving them out to people at the employees at the store that either spoke sign language
Mm,
or were disabled in some form. So we probably did about 300 aprons a year for those 3 years.
mhm.
So it wasn't a lot of money, but most of
Yeah,
our projects range from 20% to 40% markup. I mean, margins.
a
So we
problem.
probably, oh, let me turn on my light. From,
No problemo.
yeah,
So
everything's on a timer here, but
yeah, no, I get it. That's when
so
you
we
got money. Your stuff is like bloop.
so we probably did that relationship again. It's another great name to have on our resume. Like, oh, we work with Starbucks.
Of
Yes, we would
course.
like to have that entire contract for all the aprons worldwide, but and we can ship them worldwide, so we have that capability as well. So we do have the capacity, but there's just it takes a little bit of massaging to get in the door and try to push somebody else's out, especially when they've been doing it for so long. But you're just waiting for that right time where if somebody messes up, like, hey, you guys still do those aprons, right? Yeah, we could do that. Can you do 50,000 or 100,000 or a million?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
like those numbers too.
right,
And they work with you for multiple years. So you
right,
definitely in there. So it's not like you just did a one and done. One and done's are cool too, but
right.
you work with them for multiple years. So again, don't forget the super chat, y'all. He's dropping specific information, and I feel like it's super, super important. So let me put this, and I knew this was coming. Do you offer any training classes or one-on-one? We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. What he's able to do. He running two companies, y'all, two plus. So he
Two
gonna need a little.
companies, yeah, but yeah, it's a
He
challenge.
busy. He booked and busy. Okay. So luxury bucket list said this is inspiring because I know many of those companies use agility. I have worked with many of them with my current company. Please share. Please share which companies you have worked with. We would love to hear. Bridget, how common is pitching in the corporate space? That's a great question.
Um, they get pitched every day. That's probably the most thing. The thing is they have gatekeepers just like anything else, just like probably the government sector do as well. They have gatekeepers. So like procurement and supply diversity is supposed to be like your helping arm. And some cases they might be the gatekeepers themselves. But you reach out to procurement like, hey, do you guys use buy any of this service or product or services? And they're like, we do, but we have a contract in place. And they might not look to see if there's a contract. They might just say that. So I typically try to go through the proper channels, supply diversity and procurement, but I also try to go to my direct buyer who's going to buy my services. So I go to the marketing team, I go to the procurement team, I go to HR. I know HR could buy a lot of swag for new employees. So I go to HR, say, hey, do you guys do awards for your employees? Do you do recognition awards? Do you do redemption programs? Do you do like a company e-store where people could redeem products? And I go directly to the source, and they'll be like, hey, we do that stuff, but we have a contract. It's coming up, and it's going to expire in 6 months. So do you want to participate in that? Do you want us to add you to the list? I say, yeah, add me to the list. So, but that's so the pitching, you could pitch every day because you could talk to a different person in that company every day. And I'll go through my whole pitch deck with that person for 30 minutes. I'm just trying to find ambassadors internally that like me and like my service that could then say, hey, I could use your service and I could pay with it a credit card. We have a contract, but I could buy from you with the credit card. And that's okay because you're building that relationship, right? But anytime you get a chance to go to their supplier day, speak on stage, go to a conference and participate in a pitch competition, there's no better way, in my opinion, to pitch a room full of corporations than doing a pitch competition. Whether your idea is stupid or not, I go up on stage, and even if I mess up on stage, I just pitch my services to a room filled of 500 corporations. It would be a nightmare and take a long time to go company to company to pitch them at a conference.
Mm.
But if I could go up on stage with my company and say, hey, this is what I do, and this is how we're innovative, and this is how we help large corporations out, I just got all of the room, like, just saw my pitch, and they were like, hey, Keel, you have a card? And now they're asking me for a card. Or, oh, we do have a contract coming up in 2 years. I want to put you on our list for that. Or I want to introduce you to the buyer that buys that service at our company. Or we're actually looking to spend more money with diverse companies, and I think you'll be a great fit for that because you already have a resume, or and even if you don't have a resume, go up on stage and get in front of that audience, because that's going to propel you, and it's going to boost your confidence too. Because when they start coming up to you after you get off the stage, they're like, oh, I really did my thing. I really,
I must
yeah,
have been good.
right,
And they're there for a reason, right? Like
right,
most of the time, they're there because they want to buy something. They want to
right.
see what's out there. So you got to look at it like, look, this is your business. You can't be shy, yo. Like you gotta tell everybody what you do, period. If you cannot do that successfully, maybe you need to think about doing something else. And that's, just being real, like there's ways that you can do it where you just hiding behind the computer. But a lot of y'all say, I want to make 100 million. Well, I bet 100 millionaires, they pitching somebody somewhere. They are letting everyone know what they do, and they're not ashamed of what they do, and they're actually doing it. They're following up. They're hustling their business until it's running on its own. And Keel is like, it's running on its own because I spoke to y'all. I'm done. I said what I need to say. If you need it, great. I'm gonna follow up the way I follow up, and I'm moving on to the next agency.
Yeah, and the one thing I would also say I would add on to that is that if you're not comfortable pitching on stage, that's fine. That's okay. But if you look at some of the biggest names or biggest founders, in their companies, like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was an introvert, but yet you saw him do an Apple demo in front of thousands of people, but showcasing the iPhone or showcasing the AirPod, so it's a part of the job of being your own boss, to pitch yourself and your services, because that's how people are going to know about you. Now, if you don't feel comfortable going on stage, I will try to ask questions from the audience. When you ask a question, you stand up and like, hey, I am Keel Russell of Orange Live Media. We're marketing promo company based out of South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We help companies do XYZ. My question is XYZ, and and then I'll ask a pointed question that is important and it's not stupid. And they were like, oh, that's a great question. I heard you gave a question earlier. Like, my company, we're actually looking for promo right now. Like, do you have a card?
It works.
Yeah. So
it works.
There's different ways of doing it where you don't have to be on stage, but you could do it in unique ways of doing it. And then also networking. Like when you're at a conference, it's all about networking. You don't know who you're sitting by, who you're talking to, who you're at the bar drinking a beer or a cocktail with. So talk to the person like, hey, you work at Capital One. I've been trying to get into Capital One. What do you do there? I'm in the IT team. Well, I don't provide IT services, but do you know anyone in the marketing team that buys this particular service? Can I get your email and reach out to you and ask them for a referral, and they'll connect you with the person that buys your service internally. So there's multiple ways of tackling it.
Look at that. Look, there's a lot of deals that are made at that bar. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. Like me being a conference person, a lot of stuff, after everyone's kind of settled down and the conference, whether it's over or it's like over for that day, you can meet like the head of a company sitting at the bar. So you always still keep your business hat on. Like I know some people don't like to do that, but again, you're trying to ensure that you are telling everybody what you do and don't be ashamed to do it. So make sure you guys like this video. Like you guys are sticking with us for the long haul. So I love it. Let me go back up because a few questions came in. And for corporate contracts, do you do consumer type marketing or stick to capability statements like government contracts?
Yeah, so great question. Again, remember, maybe you missed this at the first part of the interview. My target audience is corporations, right? The buyers and the employees of those companies, yes, they are on social media. They're probably browsing, but they are not, when they're on social media on their off time at home, they're not thinking about work. oh, this would be a great product for me to bring into the corporation. A lot of them just don't unfortunately think like that. They're not thinking about let me reach out to that company for that service. We have a project like that we need that service for. No, they're not doing that. So my target audience is corporations. So I wouldn't be on marketing my services to Instagram, TikTok, and those things. What I would do is I will reach out to them on LinkedIn to say, hey,
LinkedIn.
I know you're in the marketing space at Capital One. I've been, what's the best approach on how to become a vendor with Capital One? Or I'm looking for some advice. Do you think you have 5 minutes with me on a phone call where I could I'm trying to navigate how to get my foot in the door with Capital One. Can you shed some light on that? And sometimes people respond, sometimes people don't. Or I would write an article. I haven't written one in a while, but I would write an article and I'll post it on LinkedIn, and people start reading it and start commenting on it, and then from there, a lot of that might be my clients because I write the article as it relates to promo and corporate and doing business with corporations. And people like, oh, that was an interesting article. I didn't know you guys did that or something like that. So there's different tactics you could take, but the best one I would say is that I would register in any company that you want to work with. I would register in their vendor portal so that they could have visibility on it. So anytime they're looking for your service, they type in that keyword. I'm looking for a janitorial service. Your company is one of the companies that show up in the list because they might reach out to you one by one to say, hey, we have this opportunity coming down the pipeline. Do you want to participate? You want to be in that list. Second thing I would do is once I'm registered, I will reach out to the buyers if you can find their contacts online, that your buyer that for your category. And that brings me to the software that we're building. We'll talk about that, but we're building a software that's going to help you do that.
LinkedIn is a powerful tool. Like I want people to, we talked about that when we interviewed with Bridget, because that you're reaching out directly to the peoples, and a lot of them, they're not even, and it sounds so crazy to say, they're not even savvy enough to know that maybe not respond to you as a business. They're on there because they know they have a responsibility to be on some sort of social media. Like I said, with the CEO of T-Mobile, I probably wouldn't be able to get a response if I emailed him. But on LinkedIn, he's just kind of on there and it's like I'm just responding. So they don't even really usually know about like the boundaries, so to speak. So a lot of those people, especially in the corporate space compared to government, you probably won't find many of them on there. But corporate space, a lot of them, they're trying to sell their product too. They are a corporation. They're a company, a larger company than, a small business, but they're a company too. So they're selling this stuff on LinkedIn the same way. So please use LinkedIn to your the best of your ability. And also, I like how you were, the way that you are explaining your approach. You're leading with knowing something. You're not just like, hey, how do I get a contract with y'all? Like, no, stop doing that. People do that. You're not leading with value. Right. You don't know anything about the company. And that like weighs so much, especially when you go into the pitch part, because you might be able to somehow get into the portal and get a conversation. Right. The conversation may not even be nothing to do with what you do, depending on who you talk to, because I've had some crazy conversations with corporate supply diversity. But when it comes time for your pitch, you're already going to bring, just like if you were going for an interview with a company that you want to work with, you're going to bring something.
You're going to do your research. You're going to do your research. So that is a great segue into the fact that know your stuff. So do your research. Like if I want to work with, let's say I want to work with Starbucks, I'm going to research the heck out of Starbucks. Who does this? Who does that? What they do, what they need. And I'm going to come up with some unique ways of doing that particular service. And I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Starbucks, I know you guys do this already. I know that you've been having some challenges with it. We can help you with this. So you can leave that value, like you said. The second thing to that is with LinkedIn, right? Like you said, a lot of people are on LinkedIn, right? So it's so easy to reach out to them and get there and say, hey, I'm looking to connect. I would love to ask you for some advice. And you'll be so surprised how many of them respond to say, hey, how can I help you? And it doesn't have to be in the same department that you're targeting. And they'll be willing to jump on the phone with you or Zoom, and then boom, you have a conversation. Now you start building that relationship. But I would also say research their website, find things, and then use like tools like Google Alerts. Like any company that we want to target, we want to work with, we put them in Google Alerts. So we'll get a feed once a week that talks about they're releasing this, or they're doing this, or they're opening a new facility, or anytime they show up in the news or any media outlet, they pop into our alerts on Google Alerts, and we have information that we could then leverage to pitch any of the employees at that company.
Google Alerts is bae. Okay. I love Google Alerts. When I was trying to really get heavy with supply diversity, I had supply diversity as my alert to see if maybe there was a conference or something coming up. So that's a very powerful tool, and it's free. So if you just Google Alerts, you'll figure out how to do it. It's very, very simple. Okay.
Right.
So, and I want to kind of go through these questions a little quickly because we got about 30 minutes. I still want you to talk about your service because that thing is awesome. Okay. So, is it Sun Danu said, how are you building your capacity to do these things like shipping worldwide? I think we're going to get to that. Right. So we're going to get to that. Just stick with us. You're going to talk about it, or do you want to talk about it now?
I'll talk about it now because so in terms of building capacity, we took a unique approach years ago on like trying to map out, like find partners worldwide, and then we kind of made a list and said, hey, we'll reach out to each of these companies and say, hey, we are located in America, like we would love to partner with you. Anytime we have a project in that country, we would love to leverage your services to help us with it. So we built out a network of suppliers worldwide that by doing it that way. And again, a lot of countries, they might speak a different language, but when you can use translators, or in many cases, these people speak English too, and they read and write in English. And a lot of times their email translate too as well. So we built out a network of suppliers worldwide that did that. And then we leveraged that to service our corporations. So anytime somebody wanted to do anything in, let's say, Poland, we could either produce it in Poland, or we could ship it from China or from the US to Poland. So we have great relationships with DHL, UPS, and FedEx, and USPS, but we also have 3PL partners and 4PL partners that we work with. And 3PL partners like third-party logistics, and 4PL partners that have warehouses and things like that. We work with them worldwide. So we can ship anything to Japan, and all around the world. The one couple places that we don't ship to is like Russia, Iran,
obvious reasons.
Venezuela, for obvious reasons, right? But aside from that, that's how we were able to build capacity or build our global network. In terms of building capacity, don't take on more than you could bite or chew. Like, go organic. I think that's the best way to go, is to go organic. Because if you take on more than you chew and you F up, just like the federal government, if you F up, that relationship is done. And then, if you're working with someone they're part of an industry group. Like if I'm in marketing and I'm working with the marketing team, a lot of times the marketing personnel, they are part of an industry group, like on LinkedIn or even personal in
marketing association.
And they meet up once a month, like, oh, you work with them? Yeah, they dropped the ball on our project. Don't do that. Yeah, don't give them that contract. So you don't want that to happen. So you build your capacity organically. We took on small projects here and there, shipping globally, worldwide. And then when the time was ready, we got that big project from BMS, and we were able to fulfill that with ease. And then we took on bigger projects.
Nice.
So you build capacity organically. And we've been in this 8 years, and we feel like we're so far behind because we didn't grow as fast as we want to. But when we look at other small businesses in our space, we're doing so much more than what they're doing. So it's like,
Heck yeah. No, you and you said that you were able to reach out to these suppliers individually. Where are you finding them? Did you just Google suppliers in?
Yep, just Google. Like that was it. I tasked it to one of my employees to hey, it was Judy. I said, hey Judy, we're trying to find suppliers in all these different countries. Here's the list of 50 of them. Reach out and find companies like this and just say, hey, we would like to partner with them, set up a Zoom call, set up a Google Meets call, Teams call, and I'll pitch them. And she did that. She made a list. I mean, we made the list, and she got some companies that each company she'll find like 5 or 6 suppliers that do the same thing. and we'll try to set up meetings with them. But some companies don't even respond. So, but when we
True.
did find one, we'll test them. Like if we had a small project, we would test them and give them the shot, and they'll help us out. And then you'll find real partners that like, oh, Keel, I'll help you with anything. And if you need me to do it, if you need to ship some stuff to me, and we'll ship it here locally for you. So we find real partners that help you do what you need to do, like just by simply Googling.
Look, and that's international. Like he's giving you specific information. And with that, we got some lovers in the house. Let me put this up here. How do I put this up here? Hold on. Hold on. I got to highlight this. Wait a minute. wait. I got to scroll all the way down because the questions are coming in. But thank you so much for Miss Electronic Crazy for the super sticker. I really, really appreciate it. You're just getting so many kudos here, Keel, because you're sharing specific information, and that's what is often lost. So I just want to highlight those who are finding love in what you're saying. So luxury card store, always a supporter as well. Let's skip to that question real quick. Does your company use any print-on-demand suppliers such as Printify to fulfill small contracts?
Printify and Printful, so two different companies, Printify and Printful, were like our go-to when we were in our early stages, right? So when they were like, hey, when companies like corporations also like print on demand services as well, but we don't want to let them know that we were using Printful or Printify.
Print, yeah.
Or any of those companies. So we
Yeah.
were like, hey, we can do print on demand for you. We know you don't want to buy 10,000 of these. You just want 2 of these. We could do that. And we had an account with Printful and Printify. But as we grew, we were like, we can't keep using these things. And these guys have limitations. So we decided to start building our own thing and our own network and we started finding partners that could do print on demand for us. And that's what we leverage to our corporations that we work with.
That is super dope.
But we did start off with those companies. So yes, you can use those services, but don't let your company, don't let your clients know that that's what you're doing. Just do it behind the scenes and make sure you provide the best customer service experience ever. And then over time, you'll learn like to find suppliers that could do bigger projects for you.
Yeah, I mean, like they just want the thing, right? So make sure you get them the thing and make sure it's, easy for you. Like I order stuff from Vistaprint for my team and stuff like that, but it take 1,000 years to get my shirts. So that's cool for what I'm doing. I like Vistaprint, I like their quality, but I'm not doing it for a client. If a client said he needs something in 2 weeks, Vistaprint ain't it. It's gonna be 3 to 4 weeks. So make sure it makes sense for what you're trying to do. So you got some more kudos here. This is amazing. Yes, he is dropping like serious stuff here. And thank for all the people who are on. Please hit those likes. Share this. We got some more minutes left, and he's about to share like this is the grand finale because this program that he came up with, I was like, how can I get down, Keel? Now that you've gotten the information about what corporate contracting is, pretty much exactly what Keel does, has done, will do. I want you to share your BizLia. Why do I feel like I keep wanting to say something else? BizLia.
It's
all right. BizLia, please share what that is and how that can help us.
Yeah, so it is. We pronounce it as most people pronounce it as BizLia because that's how you read it. But that's why we try to put the accent on it. BizLia, and it's short for business liaison. And it's no, we hear it all the time. We hear it from investors and everything. They're like BizLia. No, but it's BizLia. I mean BizLia. So now you got me saying it. BizLia. BizLia, which is short for business liaison, and we built this software because it was a challenge because we're registered with over 250 plus corporations. Our goal was to be registered with the top Fortune 500 companies, all Fortune 500 of them. And we started off over the past 4 years. Registering every year a little bit more with corporations because we want to be in their vendor portal. That was our strategy, right?
Wait, pause right there.
Yeah.
So if whoever maybe wasn't on or missed what he said, so his company went in and registered with every Fortune, you said 1,000, whatever,
100.
large
Yeah.
500 companies. He went in individually if he had to, because some of them are individual, some of like they share a portal where you can register all at once. He went in painstakingly and registered as a vendor with every single corporation. So go ahead.
Yeah, so in the beginning, I was doing the work myself, but as we started to
Mm.
grow and we started taking on employees, I had one of my employees to go in and register. I hired one person specifically to do this for us and go into each portal and register one by one. And we were tracking all of this in a spreadsheet. And like I'm re-registered with this company. This is a username and password, and it was a
Woo.
lot to manage. And we are like, there has to be a better way of doing this. Now, as a business owner, and especially if you're a small business owner or you have a small team or you're a solopreneur, you don't want to spend your time in portals because you want to be out there selling your services. So I did it in the beginning and I was like, yo, this is a lot. So let me hire someone to do this for me.
Right.
And we hired someone to do it. And even with her doing it, it was a lot. So we're like, there has to be a better way of doing these vendor portals and trying to get in the door. Because we know that's the first question these corporations ask you. Are you registered in our portal?
Yes,
I
Lord. Yes.
and most small businesses look at the portal as a black hole. I'm going to register in your portal, but is there a real opportunity?
Right.
But we know that's a barrier. That's the first thing they use to as a red tape to disqualify you. Oh, you're not in our portal. We can't buy from you then. So yes, I'm registered in your vendor portal, so you can, if anybody does a search, they'll find my company for my services. The second thing that we did was once we registered in the portal, I'll reach out to procurement or supply diversity and say, hey, now registered in your portal. I would love to talk to you about my services and how we can add value to XYZ company. Can we set up a discovery call to talk about our services? We got some yeses, we got a lot of no's.
Mm.
But what happens is that's just the first engagement. We started following up and then we start getting meetings and then we start, but all of this is to say that it's a lot to manage. Then we have 7 certifications. So we are certified as a veteran-owned businesses by 3 or 4 different agencies. We're certified as a disabled owned business. We're certified as a Black-owned business. We are Hub Zone certified. So we have all these certifications, and every portal asks you for these certifications in their portal. And that's one of our ways that we leverage to get in the door. But what happened is, what became a pain is that each year, if your certification is about to expire, you'll get a notification from every portal.
Woo, Lord to the Jesus.
So,
So you
so
got like 100 portals, for example, and you got to go in every one of them and
and update
re-upload the
them.
new.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you'll get the email. The emails were annoying because it's like you get 100 emails from every different portal to update your certification or update your profile. So we're like, man, this is crazy. There has to be a better way of doing this. When we surveyed the market and we asked all of our peer companies small businesses that we work with or new, and they was like, we do the same thing you do. We manage in a spreadsheet. So I was like, you know what? There's nothing on the market. Let's build a service or build a software that helps us update all of our portals at one time using this software. And also, not only that, we built the software to update, to register our business with all the companies we want to work with. So in our software, you'll be able to go in and say, hey, I want to work with Capital One. I want to work with Wells Fargo. I want to work with Bank of America. You'll select all the banks you want to work with, and then we will push your information to those portals one by one for you without you having to do the work. The second thing that we're going to do, and I think this is the most important, or the third, there's 3 things. The second thing is that if you have certifications and you need to renew them, we can manage all your certifications in our portal. We'll send you updates to say your certification is about to expire. We will renew your certification for you for a fee. But once you get the new certification, we will then upload the certifications to all those portals for you. So you don't have to do any of that. The third thing that's going to be so vital, and this is the most important thing that our software is going to do. We're still a baby because we're still building it. But the third thing that our software is going to do is market your services to the buyers at each of those companies. So if you're a janitorial service and you want to talk to the facility manager at Coca-Cola, we register you as a vendor at Coca-Cola, and then we start marketing your services to the facility manager at that company. Can't tell you how we market it, but we use everything that we've
We
learned
don't
over
care.
everything that
We
we've
just
learned.
want to do it.
Yeah, so everything that we've learned over the past 8 years, we use those tactics to help market your services to that buyer in Coca-Cola, as if we were you. So it's going to look like it's coming from you, not us. And when they respond, we connect them with you as the owner of the company and say, hey, Jonathan, Mr. Taylor at Coca-Cola wants to talk to you about the bottling services that they're looking for. So we're going to act as one of your employees and ultimately, hopefully, to get you in the door with Coca-Cola.
Look, so I know that went over all y'all's head because he pitches this a lot. And if you're brand new to corporate contracting, you're like, you may or may not caught that. If you caught that, put a 1. If you're like, look, let's get it explained one more time.
Break it down.
Break it down, then it's a 2. So I'm gonna give my little quick breakdown, and then I want you to go a little bit more into detail because this program that he has developed is absolutely groundbreaking. Like y'all ain't even really ready for this. So if you knew exactly what he was saying, do a 1. If you're kind of like then a 2. So luxury bucket list, she said 1 because she said she already been doing this as an employee, so she know. But if you need a little breakdown, go ahead and put a 2. So basically what he's saying is he developed a portal that all these companies, all these corporate agencies are going to be listed in. And then also you as a small business, you're going to also be in this portal. And then your certifications that you have are going to be uploaded into this portal. And so they also going to market your service, your janitorial service, your bottling service, your pen service to the actual buyer. Now, what the actual buyer is, as he stated earlier in this video, is that it's the person who's buying that item from that department, not like the procurement officer necessarily, not like the vice president. It's going to be the person who needs it at that time. And they're doing this on your behalf in this portal. So not only do we as business owners need that, the agencies need this. They want to be able to even almost like a cross-contamination type of thing where they can, these people just run in the same circles. I mean, essentially a lot of times, even though Target might be 1 mile away from Walmart, you know what I mean? Like they might say, oh, well, shoot, we're in the same zip code. Who did your flooring services? They don't care that they're a competitor. They just need the thing done. So his software that he developed is helping the world, okay? And that deserves a super chat. That deserves a super chat. So if you understand, like we got 30 people still on, so make sure you hit a like, make sure you still share because we're still talking about this. So this is something that's on the market right now that is still, you said some of it is still kind of in beta, right? But then you can right now register with BizLia. Leah. It's like I can't get it out.
No, say BizLia. No, it's fine. Say BizLia.
BizLia. So you can actually register with BizLia right now and go through the process of just like, here you go, and you pay the fee, and you don't have to go to all these different websites to register and set up the Google Alerts, even though Google Alerts are great. It's really groundbreaking. And not only that, even when you register in the portal, like he said, if you go to Coca-Cola.com, supply diversity, you'll be navigating through 1,000 steps. One company that is crazy is AT&T. I swear that's the black hole of all black holes. You'll be like, I don't even know how I got here. Okay. So he's saying that it's going to be in one portal, one place. You have access to see if you need to see. And also he's taking you directly to the person who needs to buy it. And everybody's going to be so blown away by this anyway, that they're going to actually probably want to work with you more, that it's not on their little, I'm not going to say raggedy site, but not on their site. It's going to be a lot easier to navigate for them as well. So everybody's happy. It's a win, 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 win. You know what I mean? So I'm loving this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's another element to it. And this is something that we'll probably put in the feature set later this year, is that if you're, let's say you're a janitor service provider, let's stick to that topic. We're going to compare all of the small businesses in our directory that work with us in all the portals that we're registered to, and we're going to look at what we're going to analyze what they're doing. So if your competitors are doing really well in the banking space, but you are spending most of your time in let's say in hospitality, we know that a lot of your competitors are doing really well financially in the banking space. So we're going to make suggestions to you to say, hey, would you like us to register your business within the banks?
What?
Because we notice
Help me.
your competitors are really doing well in banking, and it's easier to penetrate based on the competition. Or it might be the opposite side. We noticed that your margins, because we're going to allow you to connect your QuickBooks and your accounting software as well. We noticed that your margins, you're averaging around 15% margins, but most of your competitors are averaging around 33%. So we're going to give you insights like that to say, hey, this is a unique opportunity for you to pivot because you're not doing so well in hospitality. You might need to go in banking where there's 33% margins, you know.
That's
So
like having a business development person. It's
yeah,
so
that is.
exciting.
And that's
Like,
why we call ourselves liaisons. You know, we're business liaisons trying to help you with your business because we know how hard it was to get to this point where we work with 38, 39 corporations. And we know how hard it was to get in the door. But this doesn't apply to just corporations. Our goal is to do corporations and government, local, county, and state government agencies. We're not going to tackle the federal agencies just yet, but we're going to allow you to register. Like in my county, there's 32 cities to go to each portal one by one, that's a painstaking process and tedious and mundane, and I don't want to do it. But if, in fact, if I could leverage my software and I'll say, okay, I'm gonna register to 10 of these cities this month, 10 next month, and in 3 months, I'm registered to all 32 cities in my county. So now that when they're releasing RFPs related to my service, I'm gonna get those emails. Oh, this city is doing an RFP for promo, and I can bid on it. But if I'm not in your system, I won't get that email.
you won't
Yeah,
get the email. And that's exactly what Son Daniel said, that it's exhausting. And I was just going to ask, I thought I remember you saying you can do it with the local side. Federal, I mean, even though everything is not in SAM, that's still kind of a centralized. So like the local space and the corporate space is where you have to do so many. So let's
right.
go ahead and is it Rye F? Wow, that's crazy. And providing info on the competition. Yes, I didn't know that part. I
Yeah,
didn't know that you really are helping this person to navigate to success. And we talked offline a few times, and one of the things you said even earlier in this video is about the red tape. And I think that may have even gone over some people's head, because unlike federal, where they kind of have an obligation to do business with small, and it fluctuates or whatever,
hmm
these corporate agencies owe you nothing. And it's unfortunate. It's
hmm
unfortunate. They can want to do it because it's their corporate responsibility or the right thing to do, but they don't have to do this. I actually went to, I don't know if you ever went to EBV, Keel, that's the entrepreneurship boot camp for veterans. But
right.
anyway, so there's different colleges that do it. And there was a company that came, I can't remember the daggone name of the company. They had no supply diversity. I
Yeah,
asked, I was like, do you do supply diversity? You're here at a veterans, conference, a veterans program, and like they all turned red, like, well, no, just give an excuse. And I was like, oh, I see what y'all doing. You don't care. You know what I mean?
right.
But that's just an example of like a company who's like, I don't need to worry about that. We're just going to do this stuff internally, hire the person. And so you're actually saying, focus on this, because no one's telling you, unless you're doing hours and hours of research, where to put your money. Like Bridget talked about, they did hours and days and weeks of research, where most people either don't have time or they just feel comfortable
But,
with this company.
and you
And
may
then
not
you're
have the
doing it for us,
capacity.
Gil. You're
Yeah,
doing it for us.
yeah, and
So
you may not have the capacity either because if you're a solopreneur, let's say you are a car wash, a mobile car wash.
yeah.
And yeah, you could service your entire county. You could win contracts with your local cities to say, hey, I'll come wash all your car vehicles on your parking lot with my mobile detail, right? But to get to that point, you have to massage those relationships. So you're going to talk to someone that is in charge of that. You're not going to know how to do it. So you might have to do some research. But for us, we're going to be like, okay, who do we talk to? We want to talk to facility maintenance. We want to talk to the fleet manager. And we're going to market your capability statement to the fleet manager. Say, hey, I'm a local mobile detailer. I could wash, your cars, and this is my rate. And I think we'll give you a really good discount because I want to win my first contract, right? The first contract, we'll do it at this price. We'll do $5 a car, but you just got a contract with the county for a year or the city for a year. Now you can leverage that one contract with other cities to get in the door. So we'll do that work for you because we know how hard it was and we figured out the secret sauce, right?
Yes.
Now you could duplicate. Now you're growing because now you need 4 vehicles. You have 4 guys working for you. Now you're growing. Now you could replicate what you're doing with another county, and you can replicate, keep replicating, and that's how you grow organically. But if you don't know what to do, you're gonna spin your wheels, and you're not gonna be able to get in the door. Yeah. So
Yeah, this is so, I really love that. And of course, for those who don't know, my course teaches about federal contract and local contract and contracting and corporate. I went hard in the paint during COVID to try to really get in with corporate agencies, and there were a lot of industry days virtual, which I was like, I'm cool with that, you know what I'm saying? But that in person does make a difference, because if you're a charming type of person and they can feel your energy, they can feel it through video sometimes too. But if you can get in, if you're a person that you can sell salt to a slug like Keel, and they're just gonna fall in love with whatever you say, and then also what you're saying, you're providing is amazing, you'll win every time. So it's really good to just try to see if you can get into that, because it doesn't cost you anything but time. Even if you don't get the certifications, you can still get in with these companies, just as a sub. And that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. So make sure y'all are asking questions. Continue to ask questions. We still got a lot of people on this live, so I appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit that like button. But I wanted to ask if you got any corporate contracts as a subcontractor.
so we had one, and we have one that we have a subcontract with, and it was good and bad. This is where I say grow organically.
Okay.
Um, so as a marketing agency, we we want a very large subcontract with a large one of the large big marketing companies, the conglomerates.
What's
They're
large? What amount? What dollar? What's the dollars?
Well, this company does billions of dollars, and
And your
they
contract with them was how much?
our
If you
contract with them would have been around 3 million.
Whoosh!
Um,
Okay, ish. This is corporate contracting, y'all. 3 million.
yeah,
Okay.
and they had a contract that they were trying to fulfill, but they part of that requirement is that they had to spend money with diverse companies.
Ah,
So we did the pitch with them. They loved it. They were like, "We're going to use you for this. We're going to use you for that." And then when it came time for us, like, hey, they were like, well, you guys pitched that you guys could do this, but it doesn't seem like that's what you guys do. Like, you guys don't specialize in this really. And we're like, yeah, most of our revenue comes from promo. But it was like they were kind of like, they wanted us to do experiential marketing, and we didn't specialize in that.
gotcha.
So we kind of like put our foot in our mouth, and it was like a bittersweet because they was kind of like they wasn't really impressed. But we figured we could partner with other like companies that specialize in it and bring them on and as subs with us. But that still didn't work out. So it was one of those relationships that just didn't go well for us. But it was a pretty nice to know that we have the capability to win a $3 million contract. But I want to say that we do have uh, about 3 or 4 companies contracts that are multi-million-dollar contracts. So
Ooh, talk your shit. And look, you didn't quit after that relationship didn't work out. Did you say, I don't want to do this no more? I'm taking my basketball and I'm going home. You were like, it didn't work out. On to the next.
it was somewhat embarrassing, but
Well,
um,
look, you
but
know, on to the next, right?
yeah, but we did. It didn't stop us because again, those contracts I was telling you about earlier that we won last year, those companies haven't really spent all of that money with us this year. But it's a ramp up. So you're still massaging the relationship. They're still trying to get rid of the previous company, and they're trying to bring you into their culture because it's going to be a culture shock for the company. When they change providers, it is a culture shock. There's a new way of doing things. There's a different way of doing things. Both companies don't do it the same way. There's new personnel. So there's a lot of these different things that you have to take into account. And so for us, we have our own processes. So now they have to learn our processes. So there's a
Wow.
transition period that needs to happen. So like with the contracts that we won, we're really ramping up. And one of those contracts ramped up really fast. They were like, we were tired of our previous company. And so that company in 1 year, they spent $800,000 with us. And that's a different contract. So
Wow.
this
Wow.
year is going to be a great year. This is like, we officially believe that this is going to be our breakout year. And we feel like we could scale
Amen.
up 5 to $10 million in revenue.
Ooh, listen, y'all. Okay. Keel is talking about, he's not even talking about BizLia. Leah, yeah, BizLia.
Yeah,
I don't know what's happening, but yeah, he's not even talking about BizLia. He's talking about his promo marketing company.
right.
Okay, that does mostly corporate contract. I know you got some other stuff too,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just for this company, up to
Mm-hmm.
10 million or more, because you never know. You might get a $10 million contract tomorrow, and
Mm-hmm.
then again, we won't see him on this live no more. He won't come back and talk to me. So really, like, he's giving you the specifics about what he does, what he has done, sharing this information with you all, letting you know that once something goes wrong, you're agile. Somebody asked when we said agile, I'm just using that word. You just pivoted, you just, made it happen, and you're working internationally, which that scares me. Like, I wanted to get a janitorial contract in Jamaica because Jamaica's my favorite place, but I was like, I don't really know, exactly how it works. And you like went off the diving board and was like, let's just, these are still human beings. There's
Mm-hmm.
a slight language barrier, maybe a little cultural differences, but we can work together. Like, this is not like a foreign concept. So that's, great for you that you were able to just say, jump off the porch and be able to do it. So he has his program, he has his software where it basically is a business development program. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, the monthly fee wasn't a lot. It was a
No,
very, very super reasonable.
right. So super reasonable. So the two fees, we have a simplified pricing model. For $299 a month, we have a solo package. It's called solo because we were thinking about solopreneurs, right? So we have a solo package. It's $299 a month, and that gives you 10 registrations with corporations or local and state government agencies. And we also market your services to those buyers at those agencies. There's no limit on the amount of marketing campaigns at the company. So like if your service cross over into different departments, we will target those different departments when we register you at those companies, and that's $299 a month. There is the our next package up, which is core. That's $499 a month, and that gives you 30 registrations. And that, again, there's no limit in terms of I want to do. If you want to do 15 in government and 15 in corporate, we will do that. And we'll target the buyers in each and every one of those companies with the software. Um, and so you get 30 registrations and 30 marketing outbound campaigns within that package. Those are the two packages that we have right now. But
Super simple.
but the people that sign up for our beta program, we're offering a 20% discount right now using Sheena 20.
Ah,
Sheena,
I heard
Sheena
that.
20. If you sign up within the next 60 days, you're going to be locked in at that 20% off for the life of your account. So there's no expiration. You're going to be locked into that price for the life of your account. So we had four companies to date. We only launched yesterday, but we had four companies that signed up for our beta testing program, and three of them paid for the full amount, the full amount for the year in advance because they're like, "Yo, I deal with that every day, and this is annoying. So you're solving a big problem for us." So for us, again, the website is not 100%. The platform is not 100% ready. That's why we're doing the beta so we can find all those kinks in. So you're gonna go through the pain of finding out our software and that some of it breaks sometimes. But the goal and where we're going with it is to make millions of small businesses their lives easier to be able to do business with large corporations. I know the tactics. I know the strategy works because I've done it with my own business. We ramped up. We have several contracts, multi-million dollar contracts with several companies, and we've done most of that in the past 3 years because once we found the secret sauce, we're like, yo, why don't we just keep doing this? And it started off with just registering with every corporation that we could possibly think of. But then that was just to eliminate that as a barrier. Don't tell me, oh, you register with my system in my portal. I am registered in your portal. What next? Like, let me show you how we can help you guys. And then it turned into, let me talk to that department. Let me talk to this department. Let me get to that buyer. And we realized over time, we're getting in the door, and we're not going through the traditional medium of going through the side door, as I call like procurement or supplier diversity. I'm going through the front door like everybody else, and I'm leveraging my value that I'm bringing to the table to keep those contracts. And even each contract teaches you something totally different, because every department and every company, they have a different culture. So you learning how to manage people, you're learning how to manage multiple projects. And we have multiple projects for the same company. We have a lot of projects for these companies in one company. You're talking to so many different departments, and it's so refreshing because every experience is teaching you something completely different.
And that one agency, that one department could be multiple millions of dollars, y'all.
Right.
And y'all talk, I've heard people say, oh, I want to sign up for GovWin. GovWin is thousands and thousands of dollars to give you data. They're not giving you action. They're giving you data. Here's what is the trajectory, possibly. Right. And you guys will pay them thousands of dollars, even for a coaching program. This is the direct to consumer. This is direct to consumer. His program is, here's the person that's buying what you're selling, period.
So somebody gave me a unique feature that we're going to add to our the software from one of the people that signed up. He was like, can I download the contacts after you do the registration? I was like, I wasn't going to give you the contacts, because I don't want you to be bombarding them and then yeah. But I was like, you know what? That is a unique feature. So what I told him, what we're willing to do is, once we connect with the buyer, and because if you're working with multiple departments, not everybody's going to respond, Right. So, but the person that does respond, we're going to connect you so you can have that meeting with them, right? So you can have your meeting, you can pitch them your services. But what we're going to do is that we're going to show you all their contacts. So once they respond, now it's your contact. Now you could download them. You could put them in a drip campaign if you want to. It's your contacts to keep.
Once we newsletter, be like, hey, we're here.
Yeah, but I would recommend not sending out newsletters, because they'll fall into the spam category, and then you might get blocked. But if their company allows it, because every company has a different policy, some company allows you to send quarterly newsletters to the person that you're working with, or so you're allowed to do that. But I think that's a unique feature set where we could we'll show you the contacts, and you'll have a mobile app. We're releasing the mobile app later this year. Ooh. So then you could say, if you're talking to the corporation and there's like, are you registered in our portal? You can look at the mobile app and say, hey, I am already registered. But if you're not registered, you can add them to your queue, and within 24 hours, you'll be registered within your portal. And we'll send out the marketing campaigns on your behalf. So once somebody responds, you'll get alerts on your mobile phone that, oh, I just got Capital One just responded to me. So I need
and his company's doing that. So it's like, hey, I want to register with Capital One, Keel's team, and boom, they're doing it for you. Like, you can't get any better. These prices are going to go up, even without the 20%. These prices are going to have to go up, because it's really like, it's the service that anybody would ask for, even if it was registering and just, Sam, you're getting this for a steal. I told him at the beginning, I was like, you sure about this price? Because I know it's beta and you got to work out the kinks, but this is like groundbreaking in so many ways. So I always am excited when you talk about it, because I feel like it's the first time I ever heard it. It's really a game changer. Someone who went in, myself, and then I hired my daughter, and then I got my team. My team rolls their eyes every time I ask on our little Gantt chart, how many things, have we registered for this week, and where we have expiration dates on. So they're like, it's painstaking. So again, if you're a solopreneur, like you said, even if you have to hire someone to do that, it's like you're hiring someone to do this one specific thing, and it may not yield anything.
And we're saving you money too. So If you had to hire someone, pay them $12 an hour or $14 an hour, if you do the math on the time that they spend to do that, we're going to cut that time by 75% by doing it for you. So it's more cost effective to use our software than to hire someone to do this for you. Not only that, they're gonna do the registration for you, but are they gonna do the marketing for you? So our real ROI is gonna come with the marketing outreach. Like again, and most companies don't know how to get past the gatekeepers. We know how to get past the gatekeepers, and that's where you could win that first credit card transaction, and then you could win that second credit card transaction, and then you could eventually get to that contract that is making you hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. I know you asked me earlier, you asked me on one of our calls, like, oh, one of the persons asked me, do I help mentor and coach people up?
Great segue.
So I did this. I believe information is free. So I've always been willing to help people out, provide them the guidance. But so many people ask me about government contracts that I wrote a book about it, but I haven't published it yet. So I also wrote a book about how to import from China, but I haven't wrote a book about government corporate procurement. But one of the things I did do is there's 3 companies that I legitimately won bigger contracts than me. Like I have a husband and wife. Their first contract with the federal government was $75,000. My first contract was $5,000. Their first contract was to $75,000 for 3 printers. And I'm like, printers? What the? And I'm like, and then this other guy, this guy out of Washington D.C., he was like, when I went to VIP, he stood up and he said, I want to give a testimonial. And he's like, this guy, he doesn't remember me, but he's like, Keel, a couple years ago, I asked you for help on how to win government contracts. And I kid you not, all your advice, everything you gave me, all the coaches helping me, my capability statement. My first contract, I was $1 million, and I knew nothing about government contract. I was like, yo, my first contract was $5,000.
It always
it's like
I feel the same way.
$1 million. Like I have not won $1 million contract. My largest federal contract is $250,000. Yeah, for 5 years. But the fact that when I made that impact with someone that just asked me for advice, I'm always willing to help. But because so many people do it now, I just said, you know what, let me just write a book and how to step by step do it. I just need to take the time to publish it, but I can't because I've run 2 companies and a startup software company.
And he has a real life, y'all. I don't know why. Okay, let me get on my soapbox for a second. He is running companies, and as you can see, he's detail oriented. So it's not like he's just letting somebody else do the work. He's like in the thick of it as well, and he has a whole family. Like, so you got to lead with value, y'all. Like, even if you're like, I appreciate you, Keel, for reaching out, for allowing me to reach out to you and giving me advice for free. I know that's, karma points, and you feel good about doing that. I also feel the same way. Anyone that DMs me, they're pretty much always going to get a response. But lead with value, okay? Don't just say how you get corporate contracts. You watch this video. We got 2 hours and 12 minutes. You better watch this video before you come to Keel and ask a single question, because I'm pretty sure he answered it in this video. So, I know he's gonna come out with a program, because I'm gonna push him and say, you need to come with a program, okay? If you're not gonna take my program, then you need to take Keel's. I'll be good with that too. So, because he's the expert in this, he does this every single day of the week. So if you're gonna reach out to him, be respectful. I'm gonna put his information in the description. Be respectful of his time and ask like real questions, not how do you get corporate contracts. Because I'm gonna tell them to send it. Look, if they ask that, send them to me. I'll be like, what did I say? So we still got almost 30 people on the call. So they really, really appreciate what you're offering, Keel.
Any questions? I'm willing to answer,
Yeah. I'm going to give y'all the last call for alcohol right now. So if you have any last questions for the future billionaire, because I know with this software, and you shared with me before that every large company that you pitched this to, they came to you like, bruh, this is what we've been needing since the beginning of time. Where have you been all of our life? So this is not just something that we're like, as corporate nerds or whatever, that we're like, oh, this is a great idea. This is everyone that's in this industry knows that this is a fantastic idea.
Right.
So it's going to be, the trajectory is going to be out of this world. So Get in now while you can, okay? With this promo, I got it up on the screen. Again, if you reach out to Keel, lead with value. And if there's any last questions, I'll stay on for like one more minute. Or if there's anything else, Keel's coming out with a couple of books, hopefully soon. But of course, he's busy, so he booked and busy. But make sure you take advantage of this opportunity that he's giving you for the platform, because it's also some business development, which a lot of us need. A lot of us need, like, you kind of got it, but you just need that little bit of that guidance, that push, and that's what he's offering you today. So there's no last questions. Keel, did you want to let us know how we can find you? I know you say you're not really on social media like that, and I'll leave it
Yeah,
in the
not on social media like that. I still got an Instagram page, but everything else.
what?
I do have LinkedIn though. So LinkedIn, it's linkedin.com/in/Keel Russell. That's KeelRussell. My email, I'm gonna give you my software email is Keel at BizLia.com. That's BIZLIA.com. Um, my cell phone is 954-305.
Nope, we're not doing that. I'm about to
No,
edit that
but
out.
no, but I
Mm-mm.
no, that's my business line. So, but the people do call me. Many of
Mm-mm.
it really as it relates to the software, right? So I'm still helping people for the software.
So
But
they're gonna
the
call
last thing
you
I
and
would
be
say.
like, "Hey, how do you do corporate contracting?" So, don't give
Oh,
out the
okay,
number
got it, got it.
yet.
Yeah, but I would say the last thing I would say is that it's so easy to, I wouldn't say it's easy, but I think the first step in any journey, especially on the corporate side, is just winning that very first contract or the very first opportunity. And I think once you go through the process, even if you do this process manually, because I told you the process throughout this entire interview. If you take that process manually and do it yourself because you can't afford the software right now, the goal is not to ask for a contract. The goal is to show value, get that first transaction under your belt, because then you could take that transaction and say, hey, I work with XYZ already. And you could leverage it to win other contracts with other competitors or other companies or government agencies. Same thing with the local and state government agencies as well. Like if you work with one city, you could then take it to another city and say, hey, we do this for XYZ city already. We already do this for XYZ county. We do this for XYZ state, and leverage it to get in the door to win your second and third. And maybe the third relationship that you build is your actual contract. Maybe they give you a contract. So I would say that, just be consistent and persistent. Professionally persistent is a word in terms of not being annoying. Professionally persistent, and to continue winning, to going after these opportunities, both in the local and the federal sector, government sector. Uh,
Yes, agree. And that's your website, right?
yeah.
BizLia.
Yep. So again,
BizLia.com.
if you try the website and it doesn't work, reach out to me on email. We just transferred from our current cloud provider to Microsoft Azure. So our system is going to be a lot more stable. We got into the Microsoft Founders Hub program with Microsoft. Our mentors is Ernst and Young and Capital One,
Big company, y'all.
and we are being considered. Hopefully, we get into the program. We're considered for the Google Black Founders Program. Uh,
Ooh, talk your ish. I
so we're
love
just
it.
waiting to hear back from them because we're pretty excited about that. But yeah, so we're
So
doing some amazing stuff.
we're already going to claim that you got it, because again, what you're doing is a game changer, and I love it already. So people are just saying it's bizlia.com,
Mhm.
and you got the promo code is Sheena20. So hopefully y'all did a snapshot of that. Let's see, can't wait to rewatch the video. And this was an eye-opening interview. I think that speaks volumes, because that's exactly what I was trying to do. I wanted y'all to know what corporate contracting was, and you're getting all the specific details from an expert who does this every day of the week. So, Keel, I appreciate you more than you know. I really, really appreciate this interview. It helped me as well, even though I thought I knew a little bit about corporate contracting, and then sharing your service. And again, he's giving you the beta price. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be more.
Mhm.
And you guys said you need help. invest in yourself. It's a new year, new you. So invest in yourself into something that is like pretty much better than any other process that you would do, really. And you got someone else doing it for you. That's what you said you want. Sheena. They'll say to me, "I'm trying to get like you so I can have employees and all that." This is it right here. This is what you really need, is someone who's going to push you, being an ambassador for you, who's going to speak on your behalf and connect you the way that you need to be connected, because you don't really know what you're doing necessarily. You know what I mean? And we'll give one last comment, and then I'm going to go ahead and disconnect. Keel, of course, please stay on. I love this. I tried the website. It's down. Okay, cool. So thanks for letting us know. So he's gonna get it back up, and y'all gonna be on it. Okay. So I'm gonna actually, once it's going, I'm gonna put it on the community for YouTube, so you guys can have it. I'm gonna put everything up there so you guys can have it, and I'm gonna put it in the description. So he told y'all, look.
I told you. I told you. Oh no. So while I was working with my developer yesterday, I was like, listen, every time I delete a package, because I was actually trying out new packages, every time I delete a package, it crashes the website. So he's like, he fixed it the day before, but he's like, I was like, let me show you. It still crashes the website. So I actually deleted the package, and it's actually, I didn't think it was down, but I know he probably took it down to fix it, get it back up. But yeah.
I've been in IT for years, so it's like, you know, it might be one little thing and you're like, damn. So it's cool. We're gonna, once it's back up and good, I'm gonna put it on the community so you guys can go ahead and get that. So you can go ahead and get that discount. And yeah, she's interested. So, and she, in a luxury bucket list, she had sent another message earlier that she was doing this as an employee in one of the largest companies. So she ready. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Y'all stayed on for like the whole time, so I appreciate it. And make sure you watch the replay and share this with someone who you think will find value. Keel, again, thank you so much. All his info, but except for his phone number, is going to be in the description, and we're going to put his info on the YouTube community. So until next time, it is your favorite veteran. Peace out.
All right, later.